A battle for control of the Strait of Hormuz could be the Iran war's new endgame. That's where we're starting the 7 from the Washington Post. I'm Hannah Jewell. It's Monday, March 23rd. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. Despite heavy losses from U.S. and Israeli strikes, Iran is not giving up its fight. Instead, Iran is escalating attacks on its neighbors as the war enters its 4th week. According to diplomats in the region, Iran is betting it can ratchet up global economic pain faster than the Trump administration can relieve it with military force. Nowhere is that pain more critical than in the Strait of Hormuz. Roughly 1/5 of the world's fuel shipments transit that narrow passage, or they did until Iran nearly entirely shut it down. That has led to a brewing energy crisis. On Saturday, President Donald Trump gave Iran a 48-hour deadline to reopen the critical waterway. He threatened to obliterate the country's power plants if it doesn't comply. A contingent of 4,500 U.S. sailors and Marines is heading to the Middle East. U.S. and Israeli officials increasingly see securing the strait as the war's main objective. Earlier goals of regime change and ending Iran's ability to obtain a nuclear weapon now seem out of reach. President Trump said he is sending ICE agents to U.S. airports today. That's number 2. If you've been to an airport recently, you don't need me to tell you that security lines are miserably long. A partial government shutdown is putting strain on TSA officers who missed their first paycheck last week. That's led to fewer open lanes and fewer employees staffing checkpoints. Today, the Trump administration plans to send ICE agents to help. It would be an unprecedented expansion of immigration enforcement. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer spoke out against the decision Sunday on the Senate floor.
This is really disturbing. ICE agents who are untrained and have caused problems everywhere they've gone, lurking at our airports, that's asking for trouble.
Trump's move appears designed to put pressure on Democrats to end a standoff over a funding deal that has caused the partial shutdown. Number 3. A plane struck a vehicle on a runway at New York's LaGuardia airport. Last night, a Port Authority firefighting vehicle was responding to an incident when it was hit by a Jazz Aviation flight operating on behalf of Air Canada. A preliminary passenger list indicated the flight from Montreal was carrying 72 passengers and 4 crew members. Photographs showed severe damage to the nose of the plane. Officials said this morning that 2 pilots were killed and dozens of passengers were injured. The FAA has issued a ground stop for the airport lasting until at least 2 p.m. today. This is a breaking news story, so check out our site this morning for updates. Number 4. President Trump installed a Christopher Columbus statue on White House grounds. In 2020, as a reckoning over racism swept the country, a group of protesters in Baltimore dumped a statue of Columbus into the city's harbor. A reconstruction of it now stands near the main White House mansion outside the Eisenhower Executive Office Building in D.C. This is Trump's latest effort to remake the presidential campus and celebrate the famed and controversial explorer. Columbus was long celebrated for his voyage in 1492 from Spain to the Americas. But his journey also set the stage for colonization and enslavement, and activists in recent years have called for an end to honoring him. You can see how the statue looks in today's newsletter. Just follow the link in our show notes. Delays to approve the nation's top doctor are testing Maha's political power. That's our 5th story. When Casey Means was selected to become the next Surgeon General, it was one of the biggest wins for the Make America Healthy Again movement, also known as MAHA. But 10 months on from her nomination, she hasn't assumed the post. She is facing pushback from some Republicans over her refusal to forcefully recommend vaccines. Republicans have also questioned her medical credentials and her pushes against the medical establishment. In order to assume the post, Means probably needs the support of every single Republican on the Senate Health Committee. But at the moment, the vote to advance her nomination to the full Senate has not been scheduled. The delay sets up a test for Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s MAHA movement. Number 6. Environmental risks could contribute to an increase in cancer rates. It may be impossible to avoid all cancer-causing chemicals and pollutants in the air we breathe and the water and food we consume. But there are steps we can take to avoid some of the most concerning ones. Oncologist Mikkel Sekaris identified the 4 exposures he's most worried about. The first is radon. That's a radioactive gas given off by rocks, soil, and even water. It comes from the breakdown of uranium buried deep underground, and it has been linked to lung cancer. The good news is you can test your home for it and take steps to mitigate the risk. Asbestos and air pollution are other top concerns, as are microplastics, even though no study has conclusively tied microplastics to cancer so far. But they may carry toxic chemicals and could cause other issues. In our newsletter today, we have lots of tips on how to limit your exposure to microplastics and other environmental dangers. And at number 7, one man is on a quest to age better than his parents. Nearly 20 years ago, soon after his 50th birthday, columnist Stephen Petro started a list. It was a document of all the things he considered stupid that people do as they age, like denying the need for hearing aids or limiting friendships to people your own age. The list, which reached over 100 items, was inspired by his own parents and their stubbornness. But now, as Steve is about to hit 70, he's revisiting his own advice and coming to terms with the fact that maybe we do all turn into our parents someday. For example, he's found himself taking physical risks he knows could lead to falls, and is even lying about his age at times, something he swore he would never do. So he's revisiting his list. Nowadays, he wants to stay active, hold himself accountable, avoid becoming hostage to denial, and keep up with new technologies. This column sparked a lot of conversation on our site this weekend. Check it out in today's newsletter and see what you think. All right, you're all caught up. I keep pointing you to our newsletter, and for good reason. It has links to all the stories I talk about here on the podcast, and a lot more. It's totally free and lands in your inbox early every weekday morning. Find it by following the link in our show notes, or just Google the 7 Morning Briefing from the Washington Post. I'm Hannah Jewell. I'll meet you back here tomorrow.